All right, can you see it?
Yes.
Okay, sweet. Okay, how's it going? I'm Jack, and I'm with Carly here. We're going to be doing a study on Benny DeCarta's, which is a pizza place in downtown Kalamazoo. Um, a little bit about the organization. It's a pizza place downtown Kalamazoo. It opened in the middle of COVID in November. Right now, it has 8 employees, including one general manager, 2 assistant managers, and then the rest just regular employees. It is a franchise with more than 30 plus restaurants all across the United States, but it's the only one in Michigan. The business plan for the organization is selling pizza by the slice just out of convenience. So grab a slice and go, but also selling a big pizza that's 28 inches, the whole pizza. So like that's pretty big. So yeah, let's go to the next one. Oops, 1 second. Whoa, there we go. Okay, what we did. So our goal was to just better understand what the employees at Benny Cars thought of working there, figuring out any problems they would have with the business, and then applying the different theories that we learned from class to the business. So what we did was we started by creating a pretty generic survey asking simple questions like, do you have any complaints working here? What do you think could be improved with this business? And then from there, we went more in depth by interviewing each of the employees based on the responses to their survey. Um, and then based on the results of the survey and the interviews, the 3 most common complaints were scheduling, management, and pay. So we're going to be breaking those down just a little bit more. There we go.
All right. So the first complaint that was brought to our attention through the interview process was definitely scheduling. So there was not necessarily enough shifts available for everyone because there is that only 2 options for shifts. So through the week, people will work either 10 to 4 or 4 to 10. And then on the weekends, it would be that 10 to 4 and then 4 to midnight. So that's really only leaving 2 different shift options a person could have in the day. And then there's also some lack of staffing, like there was only those few employees. So that means that some employees feel that they are forced to work. So that would mean that the most problems were people feeling that there's unfair scheduling, as well as unnecessary overtime that's being forced upon them, as well as lack of flexibility. There isn't enough shifts for some people, so because of the fewer offered shifts, and then with it being a smaller business, some of these employees feel that there's more responsibility given to them, so to overcompensate for that understaffing issues. And then also, like, creating an employee's schedule can be a very challenging aspect for any organization, because you have to take into consideration time off requests. People have different skills, so you don't want someone with very few skills to work with another person that has very few skills in a certain aspect because it won't be able to function very good. And then also, it's hard to meet everyone's needs. Some people can't work these days, some people can't work these days. You have to really take all of that into consideration, and there might have to be some sacrifice in areas. So with poor scheduling, that can decrease in employee satisfaction as well as employee productivity, and it can cause for quicker turnover. So employees might not be very happy, therefore they're going to have to go find somewhere else that maybe they can get more shifts. Maybe the shifts are work better for them, different things like that. And like we learned in class, job satisfaction has a moderate positive effect on job performance. So if the staff feels that they're being treated unfairly in the schedule or if they're being overworked, their job performance is going to decrease. And we also learned that job satisfaction will have a strong effect on the organizational commitment. And job satisfaction, with when that increases, so will the effective and normative commitment increase, which will then help the company overall.
Okay, going on to the next topic that the employees were kind of complaining about, they had to do with management, specifically from the general manager level. They felt like the general manager doesn't have their respect as employees, and they touched on how they were expected to learn everything by themselves and not really taught properly or shown properly. Um, and then specifically from the general manager, their complaints were that she was taking too many smoke breaks, calling off work last minute, and then leaving work in the middle of the shift. So obviously, that's going to cause employees to not really respect their authority. And then what we learned from the class was transformational leadership, which was just a pattern of behaviors that inspires followers to commit to a shared vision that provides meaning to their work and sets their leader up as a role model. Obviously, this is not really the case for this business. Some employees find it difficult to have a shared vision when their boss are doing these things like having too many smokes breaks, leaving work in the middle of the shift. And then again, yeah, just talking about how it's not a good role model, the general manager to help the business and also just to have the employees reach their full potential. Yeah. Whoops.
And then the last thing that seemed to be very popular in the interview process was pay, which is probably a very common thing for almost anyone to say is, I want more money. I think I should be getting paid more, different things like that. So that was a very big complaint. And then we can relate this back to that scheduling problem that if employees are being forced to overwork or having to pick up responsibility for other people and things like that, then they're also not being compensated for that overworking. So those things can kind of go hand in hand. If employees feel this way, they're also likely to have low motivation because they don't think that they're getting that reward or being compensated for what they feel that they're worth. So they're going to have low motivation, which causes them to not perform as well. They will be more likely to not care about how the business does because it's not going to really affect them. Like they're getting paid low, like they don't really care. Um, pay is an extrinsic motivation, and that means that it's controlled by the contingency that depends on like their task performance. So like doing that, like the job is what's going to get them like pay. It's not like something that's internal for the person. It's like more of an outside factor. And they're not able to achieve like a good like balance of like, oh, like rewards are not satisfying to them because they're not getting what they think they're worth. So they're not going to be satisfied. So their effort and performance are going to be lower because they don't really think that they're being compensated or treated with the respect they deserve for the work they're putting in.
Sweet. And these are our sources. Thanks for listening.